We can start the show. Should we talk in English or in German?
English, please.
Or in Dutch or whatever. We have Polish.
Yes. English will do.
So, first I want to say welcome for the first time visitors. Ja, erstmal guten Abend für die, die zum ersten Mal da sind. Die Angelika zum Beispiel, the only woman so far. But I think there will be some more tomorrow. Yeah. Big applause for Angelika. So, my name is Jens. The most of you, they know me already. I started the whole Horizons thing in Germany about 5-6 years ago. And I think it's quite successful so far. The 9th time that we meet here in the Odenwald forest. And it's still like a hidden secret, this place. Even the people, if they live close by, they don't know this spot. And the area offers quite a good of motorcycle riding, especially with nice weather. Now we have a little bit bad luck. Winter is coming, but it's still dry. So tomorrow maybe you can discover the area a little bit. And I don't want to make so many words now because we have a wonderful presentation. This is, I would say, one of the best slideshows that I've ever seen through Africa. Toby gave us this show about 2 years ago.
Year.
I would say.
Year, 2.
Or 1 or 2 years ago.
Time is running.
But the most of you maybe they haven't seen it, or I saw it, but I said this is so good I can see it even a second time. Toby, English, I would say it's maybe the better.
English, okay. Well, thank you for coming. I will start very quickly. It's going to be the talk which I gave, I think, 1 year ago. And Jens just asked me to do it again because some of you haven't seen it and nobody else so far offered a slideshow. So if you have interesting things to tell about your last trip or something, you're welcome to register with Jens and tell us about your trip tomorrow. Now we're going to go all the way around Africa, which was about 50,000 kilometers and took me 2 years. I used a Honda Transalp. As you can see, I bought it for 500 euros, and to make sure everything is alright, I took it apart first. It comes with a 600cc 50 horsepower engine. I think everybody of you knows the Honda Transalp, so I don't have to talk much about it. To be able to do off-road and stuff, I attached strong engine protection and 2 sticks to be able to carry spare tires, which I actually didn't use. I carried them all the way through because my meter tires lasted for more than 30,000 kilometers. Can I help you?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Doesn't know.
He's German.
Well, okay, to be able to take pictures while riding, I used a normal camera and attached it to the helmet. So I didn't have to use my hands and was still able to ride. On the internet, I got in contact with 2 people who wanted to do a trip through Africa as well, and we decided let's do it together. But later on, we found out we have very different way of traveling, so they didn't want to be recognized on my photos in the internet, and so I covered their heads. When we left Germany, it was really cold, so I was looking forward to come to warmer countries. The weather cleared up a little bit when we reached Greece, but until Turkey, the snow always came past us, and it was snowing and raining, and it was really cold. People were very friendly in Turkey and also in other countries like Albania, Montenegro. They invited us to stay in their company shades and dry our stuff. They even made a fire inside of the building for us so we could warm up a little bit. Really cool. Finally, when we reached Jordan and it was warm and we could take a swim in the Dead Sea. As you know, it's very salty and surrounded with sharp salt crystals. So it was amazing to see. Yeah, here the people were very friendly as well. He invited us into his house, which turned out to be a tent like this. But it's cool. People don't know you, but they invite you and offer you a cup of tea and stuff. It was amazing. When we reached Egypt and did all the required visa and paperwork and stuff, we were the big attraction of the people. Here we stopped to change or to repair a tire of one of my travel mates, and suddenly 10, 20, 30, 50 people were surrounding us and everybody was dancing and laughing, and it was a big happening. So, really interesting. Also the police kept following us. There was a car bomb going up in Cairo, and they were afraid of tourists and didn't allow us to go to Giza to visit the pyramids. Anyway, we still went to Giza, but always the police kept following us. Now it should change. Yes. So finally we reached the pyramids, of course. Even the police tried to...
Have you been alone because there have been no...
Well, no.
No tourists?
That's zoomed in a little bit. It is from the opposite building, and they sell carpets and stuff. And when you can go upstairs on their roof, it's a flat roof, and you can have a perfect view to the pyramids, and you can just zoom in. But here you see, I mean, it's full with tourists. Sundown, and then they make a light show and something with lasers and stuff. Of course, we also visited other touristic places, but the things I enjoyed most were the restaurants while traveling. This guy is selling falafel. It's like döner kebab, but vegetarian. They have falafel. Erbsen of English?
Peas.
Peas. They make little balls of peas, and it's delicious. That's also a nice restaurant. The hygienic standard isn't the same as in Germany, but people are very friendly. Here on the market you can buy boiled eggs and all kinds of fresh vegetables. Also, water was provided along the road. You have water in these things, and they have little holes on the bottom, and the water drips out, and because of Kapillarwirkung, it climbs up, and when it verdunstet, evaporates, it cools the thing. So you can get cool water just along the road in Egypt, but you never know where the water comes from. Sometimes they just pump it out of the Nile, and so I used some chlor tablets to make sure. Yes, when we wanted to enter Sudan, we had to take a ferry. It is actually a land border, but yeah, for some border problems you have to take a ferry. It is probably not only border problems, they also earn a lot of money with this. So you arrive on the border, you have to return the Arabic number plates you had, you have to get tons of stamps at different police stations and stuff, which are hidden very well, so it's hard to find them. And when you finally did all the paperwork, you can put your vehicles on a different ferry, and it leaves, and you have to wait another 6-8 hours until finally the passenger ferry is going to leave. And we had a perfect place underneath one of these lifeboats, because it was the only place where there was no sun, or it was a shade during the day, because the sun was very hot. And here you see, the picture was taken very early in the morning, it was freezing cold. And here there is no railing wall or something, so if I would have turned around wrong while sleeping, I would have fallen 5 meters down into the lake. We arrived in Sudan, I don't know, a day before the ferry with the vehicles arrived, because our ferry went during the night and the ferry with the vehicles had to stop during the night. And then when they finally arrived, the captain parked very bad, so you couldn't get the cars and stuff down. This way he tried to get extra money. Because you see, there is 2 meters gap of water and there is 1 meter here, you will never get the cars down. Finally we had to pay some guys helping us to get down the motorbikes and stuff. Yeah, and then we had to fill out tons of forms in Arabic language, which of course we didn't understand, so we had to pay someone to do this, and we had to pay someone to do the registration at the police office and stuff. But finally we managed.
Before you died.
Well, yeah.
This one.
We didn't die, but you see, Sudan is a very hot and dry country, and water was more expensive than petrol. So 1 liter of petrol was about 30 cents, and 1 liter of water $1. Or if you don't have dollars, you die. In this time when we passed, the road wasn't finished yet. I have here, there is a tar road going to Khartoum now, but in these days there was only sand, and it took us 2 days till we finally reached Khartoum. One of my travel mates, you see a video of him here, he turned around because he thought he can cross Africa on tarmac, and his off-road skills weren't very good. So he turned around. From there we were only 2 people. Yes, and as I said, it took us 3 days to finally reach the tarmac road to Khartoum. And I was happy this road didn't have any curves because my bearing, the steering bearing, was gone during the sand. During riding in the sand, it was very hard to steer like. So yeah. When we reached Khartoum, I took half the bike apart and tried to get a replacement for this. So actually the bottom one, I used the top one on the bottom, and for the top I bought a normal bearing, kein Kegelrollenlager, and it fitted somehow, but it did for the rest of the trip. I just changed it now because of TÜV. Yes, when I took these photos of myself screwing on the bike or the bearing and some other, suddenly a police guy grabbed me and asked for my passport and grabbed my camera and took me to the police. I was arrested for taking photos, which is illegal in Sudan. It took a long time till first he wanted to keep my camera. I said no way. Then he wanted money. I said I don't have. And then he wanted to destroy the film, and it was hard to explain. Well, my digital camera doesn't have a film, and then he wanted to at least rip the memory flash, the flash SD card. And we finally, after I was very polite and pretended to enjoy the stay at the police station and stuff, they wanted to get rid of me, and we agreed on I delete my photos and go. And luckily I already had made a backup of these photos before, so they were still there. It's probably, they don't want these kind of photos going to the Western countries. When we entered Ethiopia, the world totally changed. It was colorful, people were coming towards us, asking for money, asking for sweets. The women were wearing beautiful, colorful clothes. And wherever we stopped, people came very close to us. Would you like to buy something? And I just pressed the little button on my camera. This is traditional food in Ethiopia. It is, I forgot. Last year I knew.
Enduro.
Okay, and it's like a sour type pancake. It comes with a little bit of meat. You pour the meat in, you roll the whole thing, and it's delicious. People before going to Ethiopia had warned me, don't eat the traditional meat, it's disgusting, take lots of tin food from Sudan. So I had all my boxes were filled with cans and stuff, and I just gave away. I didn't like tuna at this time anymore. I loved the traditional food, it was delicious. That's a place where people and I could get fresh drinking water. It's a big pump station. People have these wheelbarrows made out of wood to get their water kilometers back to their villages. And of course, wherever we stopped in Ethiopia, people came running towards us. It was like they were growing out of nowhere. Suddenly they were all there, and it was a big happening. We also were lucky to see the monkeys in Gonda. Those monkeys have very long hair, and it's a special type of monkeys. And I heard it's hard to see them. Much easier to find are these tank wrecks. They're standing everywhere. The war isn't very far, very many years ago, so they were easy to take these photos. Here my travel mate and I were just having a break, and he just wanted to make a coffee or something, and out of nowhere there were just suddenly people coming. First they were like something, I don't know, how much is it, 20? Then double 30, and after 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I could hardly find my travel mate anymore. That's Ethiopia. You stop somewhere, there's no nothing, and suddenly people come running towards you. Same thing here. I just wanted to take a photo of the house. The first photo, the second photo, and the third. The family, they want to be on the photo. And if there are no people, then you have to be very careful with animals on the road. The first zebra just beside the road when we went towards Kenya. And also these big marabou birds. They're about this high. And here the fishermen take the fish apart and they throw away the waste, and so that's what the birds eat. Yeah, then we entered Kenya. Kenya was the first country I didn't need to get the visa in advance. I could just say hello, here I am. I got the stamp, paid like $50. I think now they reduced it to 25. And then this was the road. And yeah,
Perfect.
perfect, yeah, as you say, because Marsabit Road will be getting worse. This is public transport. Those trucks go very fast, I think something like 80 kilometers an hour. On the bottom there are animals on the way to the market, and on top the people sit and sing, but they don't hold on. And I think that's the reason why this truck doesn't stop. They go full blast, because if it would stop, they would all fall down. So if you see them coming in the mirror, go to the side and let them pass. These traditional Maasai women were also standing at some place, and we stopped to take photos, but they were very aggressive. They started to hold on and put their fingers in our pockets and wanted money, and they were really, really, really aggressive. Amazing. My travel mate went too fast and broke his frame on his DRZ 400. So I had to take even more of his luggage on my Transalp to go to Nairobi, which was the first big city where they were able to weld aluminium. So here I have even more stuff on my bike when we crossed the equator. Yeah, that's JJ's Jungle Junction, the place you have to go when you are in Nairobi, in Kenya. A guy from Europe, and he was able to do aluminium welding. We also did some welding on my exhaust pipe, but that was usual steel you can do anywhere along the road. They have a little bit of wire and they just weld with it. It's amazing. And then we split. My travel mate didn't like the way I was traveling, because if I see houses like this, of course I have to stop, get off my bike, take the camera, make some photos, talk to the people, and if you start talking, even if I don't speak Swahili or anything, then it takes a while, and he didn't want to wait all the time, so he went on. And from there on I traveled alone. He took the next plane, he went back to Nairobi and took the next plane back to Germany, because he didn't like to wait for me while taking photos, and he said it's too dangerous to travel alone. So I continued alone, and I really enjoyed it, because then I could spend even more time in these little local villages and enjoy myself on the beach. They have wonderful beaches in Kenya. It was like real holiday after the hard time in Sudan and stuff. And of course you can meet other travelers on places like this, on camping places. On this beach there are also monkeys, and first you think, oh, it's cool, take some photos and stuff, but these monkeys are really clever. They stole my bananas. They were able to open the zipper of my tent. And I realized these people, they were camping on the same camping place, but they didn't really get in contact with each other. So we organized a big campfire and invited everybody, like you organize some wood, you make a salad, and you buy some fish at the local fisherman's place or something. And we were sitting on a big campfire during the night, and everybody was telling where he came from and stuff. It was really interesting. And these people from Switzerland were even traveling with kids. So they had three daughters, I think 12 years was the oldest one. And in the morning they made something like school. They had the books, they had to do some special things and homework, and in the afternoon they were allowed to play whatever they wanted. So you can even travel with kids. Yeah, that's the nice campfire we had, and it was very interesting, of course, like here on the meeting, when you come together with people who travel and you can hear their stories. And amazing. Okay, Tanzania. They also had wonderful beaches. Sometimes they seem very empty, but if you are there during Easter time, they're crowded. It's amazing. I didn't put the photo in here, but amazing. And Tanzania has a road which it's crossing the Mikumi National Park. Usually you are not allowed to enter national parks or animal parks with your motorbike because it's just too dangerous. But in this case, if the main road is crossing a national park, you are allowed in. And already on the entrance, as you see, the first monkeys. And then there was a road going off, and I pretended to think it's part of the main road, and I just went off the road. And just a few meters later, and it's amazing. Of course, you switch off the engine, but you stay on the bike, ready to turn around and go. And you're not sure, is he more afraid or I'm more afraid? But then he went inside the bushes and disappeared. I spent a wonderful day in this park exploring very small tracks. I had my GPS and I was sure to find the way back. And yeah, some giraffes and stuff. It's amazing. First you see one and you stop, make hundreds of photos of one, and later on you see so many you don't even stop for photos anymore. When I went back to the main road, this guy came with his gun and pointed towards me and asked for money. And I lied, I didn't have any. First he wanted $100. And I lied, I didn't have, and then he reduced to 50 and I didn't have. And I said, then he wanted 20, and I said, well, but I just need to refill my bike in the next city. And we started to talk, and I asked if he has family and friends and stuff. And finally he invited me to spend the night at his house.
He spent $20 on you then.
Malawi also was a beautiful country. It was, I think, very cheap to get the visa, and I was very welcomed, very warmly welcomed. And people just have their houses, and at the back of the houses the bananas are growing, and you can take the food just in the garden. It's really cool. I was invited, or I invited myself, at a little local village. Yeah, it's always like this. You go to a little village and you ask the oldest guy, here you can see him, whether you're allowed to pitch your tent beside his house. Because when you're a guest of a little village, you're not a stranger. And then people know, well, you are a stranger, but you're the guest of someone, so they don't touch your stuff. When you do wild camping somewhere, and you're not sure. You see people walking and they look at you, and you hear, during the night you hear the breaking of wood, and you're not sure who is walking around. But if you're the guest of someone, you can be sure. And the oldest guy of the village always has to, well, he's the boss. If he says don't touch, they don't touch. So when I come to a little village, I ask him, and I usually have some torches or t-shirts or something to say thank you. Because they are very cheap in the big cities. They have Chinese shops everywhere. But these people, a few hundred kilometers away of the big city, they probably never go to this place. So if you have a torch where you can like make electricity yourself or something, they're very happy. And I'm happy to be able to stay, and they show me around, so it's a win-win situation. And I found out they don't have a feeling for money. If you ask them how much is it to stay with you, it's $100. If you give a $1 torch, it's even better. So I spent a wonderful week or something here with this little village. Oh yeah, it's too fast. It was election time. They were just choosing a new president, and the president had given away many like blankets or something so you can wear them, and they always had the photo of him. And on this photo, he was much younger than he was live when I saw him on a.
Can I get one from Angela Merkel, maybe?
Next year. But you have to ask for one where she is young.
The Beauty and the Beast.
A view into the traditional kitchen in Malawi. It's not with Ceran-Kochfelder or something, it's just like this, but people are happy. That's what I realized. When you're in Germany or when you're somewhere in rich countries, people are not happy. They complain about so many things. But here people are happy, they smile, they're just happy. It's amazing. And here she's just cooking nsima. Nsima is it's made of, it's like porridge. It's just maize flour cooked. And they hardly even have salt. And some places along the beautiful Malawi lake, they have fish. But otherwise they don't have anything, and they just eat nsima without anything, just out of a little bowl with their hands. So it was interesting for them to see what I brought, because I still had some things to give away. So they had tuna with nsima. They didn't really like, because it was unusual for them. but interesting, yeah. And I love the Malawi lake. It's just a freshwater lake, but you feel like you're on the ocean, and you can go for a swim, and sometimes they have waves and stuff. Yeah, this is another little village I stayed with. I just walked around. I got bitten by a dog in this village, but luckily nothing worse happened. That's a place or this is the house of my dreams. I think one day I'm going to buy a house like this. Also on a camping place I met a German family. They were also traveling with kids. Here, 5 in a box. I stole the photo from them. And I met Paula. Paula was building a school in Malawi for an Austrian company, and she was in charge of this project. And when it was finished, she wanted to travel around the country for a little bit. And first she was traveling with public transport. Yeah, of course, when you meet a family, when you meet other travelers, first thing you take out your map and you tell where you came from or where they came from, and you put all the information which they can give you, like here's a police station, there is a very bad road, you put it all in your map. But, I'm missing a photo now. Okay, well, Paula was in charge of a project, but I'm sure this photo is coming later. In Malawi, people have learned not to beg a tourist, but to produce little things to sell for them. It's much easier to earn money, I think, and it's also much nicer for the tourists. And Malawi is going to be a more touristic country, I think. It's also amazing, people are very able to do nice work with their hands. You see, the family has given a photo to him for 3 days and asked, could you please copy our car? And he made it perfectly, out of wood.
20 of them.
Yeah, well, usually they sell the normal Land Rover Defender, but he especially made a model of their car, and you see even the jerry cans are perfectly copied. It's amazing. It's just handwork. Yeah, this is the picture I was missing. Paula was traveling with public transport first, and because they are very dangerous, they have many accidents. We decided let's travel together. So yeah, she wasn't in this bus, but
only because you wanted to help her.
you never know. But then suddenly we decided to travel together, and I just had one helmet. So that's when we bought this salad bowl. And
Much safer. Much safer.
we crossed roadblocks with this.
Why you didn't try yourself?
Well, it's for the camera. Yeah, that's her project. We did a school painting day, and the whole village was invited to help to build up their own school, because it's not nice when a company from different country just comes to someone's place, starts building up a strange building, and people are not involved. So it's good to involve all the people, and then the whole project is not not Paula's project, but it's the project of the whole village, and then they accept the school. Yeah, a nice traditional market. You can buy everything you want in Malawi, like nice fruits and stuff. I was asking a lady how much is an avocado. And of course, in Africa you always have to ask for the price first. And she said a few cents, I don't know, I paid, took my avocado and wanted to go. And she said, stop. I bought the whole lot. To enter Mozambique was also not very difficult. People speak Portuguese, so we had a little problem with the language, but still I felt a little bit like Ethiopia. When I stopped, people came running towards me, and who is that? And they always wanted to be on the photo, and then they saw the photo, and everybody was laughing and stuff. It was amazing. These are also like little villages where I invited myself. I just asked the oldest guy, can I pitch my tent beside your house and stuff, and so it happened a lot that instead of one day I stayed for a week or something. So it's so cool with these kind of people. And here he invited me for supper into his house. And supper here is, you have the little bowl with nsima, the maize flour thing, no salt, no butter, nothing. And everybody is quiet, the women sit, the children are quiet, and you eat with your hands out of this bowl. Just the oldest guy and me first. And I thought, well, okay, it's just a little bit. I was hungry. It's probably half for him and half for me. So I eat my half, and then everybody was like looking very sad. And I asked, yeah, what is for them? Yeah, what we would have left over. So I was lucky in this time to have some emergency biscuits and stuff, and they never probably had biscuits before. And later on in Africa, all these biscuits are packed in a special plastic. So the whole place was full of plastic. That's when civilization meets Africa. They also have mangrove forests in Mozambique. So that's salt water. In high tide, the trees are covered with salt water, and in low tide, it's all gone. Here on a place, I met a South African guy. He was building up a lodge, and he needed to go back to South Africa to buy some stuff, and asked me whether I can watch his workers for a few days, because they always in Mozambique they need somebody to watch. If you don't watch them, they just sit and don't work. But if you watch them, they work. And then in the morning you give out the hammer to him and the screwdriver to someone else, and in the evening you have to ask, where's my hammer? Oh master, sorry. And it's already laying right over there where they go back home. They were hoping I forgot about the hammer. But it's not a bad thing, it's just how it is. And to say thank you, he invited me to go jet skiing and stuff, the rich South African guy. It was like a cultural shock. I felt, this is not right. People around you don't have anything, not even salt for their enzima, and you go jet skiing. They even had a Z something BMW car. Everybody has Toyota Land Cruiser or something in Africa, but not BMW. Anyway, I reached South Africa finally and went towards Kruger National Park. It's a big national park where you can see animals, and they have smaller parks just around Kruger Park where you can walk in and see giraffes and stuff, like Morloff Park. These parks, they don't have lions, so you're really allowed to walk in, and even with your motorbike. And when I was going around one of these parks and saw many nice animals, I got in contact with other people, and they asked, oh, where do you come from with this strange number plate? And suddenly you start talking, and don't you want to go to Kruger Park? Yes, of course I want, but I'm not allowed in with my motorbike and stuff. And here I zoomed through the fence of Kruger Park and saw my first crocodile. And then they invite you, yeah, just hop into our car. You can park the bike here, and when we come back in the evening, we will bring you back. So I ended up in someone else's car, and I was allowed into Kruger Park. And it was amazing. I mean, I've been to Kruger Park a couple of times. I've been to Africa a couple of times now. But it's always amazing to see these animals in their wild life. Unfortunately, this lion didn't want to look to the camera, but at least we saw a lion. And elephants, it's fantastic. And also in the back, you can see, sometimes you see there's a whole family of elephants just arriving. They take a bath and then they disappear, and you can't see them anymore. You think elephants are so big, they're easy to spot, but they're not. Later on I went through the Drakensbergs Mountains to Lesotho, up the Sani Pass, 2,800 meters, into Lesotho. And Lesotho is a little kingdom within South Africa, and I didn't expect it to be the poorest country of my whole trip. Lesotho is very high, as I said, and there's hardly any trees growing because of the altitude, and they also hardly have any roads because they hardly have any cars. And yeah, it was...
car.
Sorry?
So, Lesotho car.
Lesotho car, yeah, exactly, so you don't need roads. And it was really, really cold up there, and people hardly had jackets. They were just wearing blankets, and it was really cold, like in winter, and I had to rush because I was afraid it looked like it might snow. And later on, like 2 days after I left, it was snowing. People live like this, and they have no wood or something to burn because there are no trees. But still, in Lesotho they were happy. But here in a slum in Kailicha, just before Cape Town, people are not happy. This is a very, very dangerous place. Lots of very high criminal rate. Lots of drugs and stuff, because they don't have culture anymore. They don't live in they don't live the way they used to. They don't have the oldest guy, they don't have their medicine man. They see the rich South African guys drive past them every day in their fancy cars and they don't have anything. So that's, I think, what makes people unhappy, if they see someone else having more. If you're together with in your little village and everybody has the same and everybody can get the bananas just when they reach out of their house, they're happy. Cape Town, the Tafelberg, just in the back, you can see the little station where you can go up with the cable car. I spent about 3-4 months in Cape Town. I didn't really plan it, but I found a place where they were caring for old people and handicapped people, and I really enjoyed it there and liked it, and people from Germany were doing a social year. I got on with them very well, we had a great time, and suddenly from one night, which I asked, can I stay for one night to pitch my tent, I ended up being 3-4 months. During that time I tried to get my visa for Angola, and it was really, really hard. I applied at the embassy in Germany first, sent my passport back. They asked me to send whatever, hundreds of copies of things they already had and stuff, and it took more than 3 months, and I had to pay like 160 euros until finally I got a visa for 4 days to cross Angola. Yeah, actually I forgot to tell. I had an accident when I just went around South Africa a little bit. It was just a little weekend trip, it wasn't something serious. I went too fast and just ended up dropping down 20 meters. But luckily without hurting myself, but my bike was in a quite bad condition. So I climbed up those 20 meters again and took my tent and my sleeping bag to make something like a roadblock, and a few hours later another tourist car came and they took me back to the next city, and it turned out the brother of the guy I stayed with before was the police officer, and they came with other people to get my bike with ropes to pull my bike back up. Yeah, that's how it looked like. I went home with this, like this, like 300 kilometers or something. No handbrake, no lights, no nothing. Yes, then I tried to get all this paperwork done. My car leave was expired after 1 year. Many things to do. These guys helped me. And then I also repaired my bike. While the whole front was gone anyway, I decided it's a good time to make a more beautiful front to it. And so it was in good condition again, and finally I got my visa and yeah, started to go back home. Because I just had a 4 days transit visa, I got the Congo visas already. They were very easy to get. But when I finally got the Angola visa, the Congo visa were expired already. So out of the expiring date 1st of October, I made 10th of October. And then I had to rush because to be there before 10th of October. So I crossed Namibia very quickly. I was there before. And yeah, then I entered Angola and I managed. So they accepted the visa and stuff. And I was in Angola finally, but I had to stay on the main road because they have lots of landmines around here from the war. Anyway, I took some photos of Russian tanks again. People later on, when I gave this talk at a different place, they said, oh, they're Russian. Could be. And of course, also here, it's, as I said, they have landmines, so it's not good to do wild camping. Just ask at some place, can you pitch your tent, and usually you're welcome to stay, and you
Can I ask, did you take the locals also for a spin, for a trip?
Usually not, because it's too many, and if you just take one, then someone else wants and stuff, and then they start fighting. It's also like if you have some Swedes or some, they always want the pants or whatever. If you give to 2 people, they start fighting for it. So usually, if I gave something, I gave to the oldest guy because he's the one who is getting the stuff later on anyway. Or I had some like biscuits, then I have a lot. But I hardly. I mean, sometimes on a police block or something, they say they want to go, or they want at least to like start the engine and play with the gas. you can't say no in this situation. But usually I didn't, you know. People were very easy, their life is not so complicated like here. If they need meat, they just kill an animal, and that's what they call restaurant. You can buy meat just beside the road, and I really enjoyed this easy way of living. For a few cents you get a meal, and of course when you buy a meal, it's not like eating and going. People come and they look at your bike, and I don't speak Portuguese, so I couldn't understand people, but with hands and feet you can still communicate. So it was very interesting, and that's how the bridges and roads look like in Angola. So it's an adventure. And on one place I went along a very small path and was surrounded with very high grass, and so the metal boxes were just going through the grass, and suddenly one was missing. And someone has cut off the tree, but not very far down, but about this high, and it just ripped off my box. He's just repairing it. A little market, and yeah, there's the photo with African fast food. She's selling eggs, and she has a little fireplace here, so you can buy a bun. She puts the egg here, makes your little omelette, you get it on the bun, and that's fast food. African fast food. The make egg. Angola is one of the richest countries in Africa. They have lots of oil, but the people hardly get something of this money, and they hardly have any petrol stations. And when you find a petrol station, it looks like this. There's only one pump, and people wait for hours, and of course they take a lot of petrol if they wait so long. So it takes you a long time. Only if you come with police, you ask on a roadblock, where can I get petrol, because you don't find a petrol station. Then they come, show you the place, and you go right in front. It's not very social, but it worked. A little bit fisher village, and people on the way to the market. The problem is they cut down all the trees they can get to make charcoal, and therefore it's hard to find trees and stuff. They really start cutting down all the trees they can get. From Congo, there are two Congos. From the first Congo, you have to take a ferry to the second Congo. And of course, this is a huge place where the ferry stops, and a big marketplace, and you have to do all the paperwork. And you're the only white person within, I don't know how many 100 miles, and everybody's watching you, and it was very hard to get all this done. But finally I managed. I got someone to help me. He was able to speak a little bit of English to translate to French. I don't speak French. And he helped me with all this. And finally he also invited me to stay with his family and pitch my tent in Brazzaville, which is a huge city, and there's
Awesome.
And here I had to wait for 1 or 2 weeks or something. We tried to get the visa for Cameroon and Nigeria and Gabon, and yeah, it was quite hard, but he helped me. It was very good to have a translator, and it was not too expensive. In Brazzaville I could also buy everything I needed. Like if I would have needed a new t-shirt, or I mean I got many t-shirts to say thank you to other people later on, and they have Chinese shops everywhere. I think actually the Africa is going to be the new China, if you see, where Chinese people everywhere. They're building roads, they have, if you go to a shop, it always belongs to Chinese people. You see African people working, you ask for the owner or something, Chinese people. Yeah, on the Michelin map, it showed there would be a very good highway crossing the Congo. When you arrive, this is how the highway looks. And it's fech, it's not sand. Sand would be alright.
Oh.
But fech is something, it's if you walk, it's like water, it covers your shoe. But it hides, there are rocks underneath, and they are very well hidden, and you don't know where a rock is, and you really ride like on a bull. It's amazing. And on one of these very hard parts of my trip, I met a guy, he was cycling from Spain. So nobody tell me I'm crazy. Yeah, Angola roads. And sometimes the roads were so bad that it was better to use the train tracks. So you go a few hundred kilometers.
And afterwards you have square wheels.
Well, you have to get the right speed. Public transport again. People don't have private cars or something. When they want to go somewhere, they take the truck. And yeah, those trucks and these trucks are the only traffic you see on these roads. People are really busy cutting down the rainforest wherever you come. It's so sad to see. Of course, you see many cars having accidents because they wear down the tires until they blow. They never take off tires. They have to go themselves. Well, yeah, people are busy cutting down the rainforest. First they spray petrol, then they burn everything to get rid of the high grass and the snakes. Later on, they take the motor saw, they cut down the small wood, and then they leave the big wood to be cut down with the big machines later on. Here you see a big tree. You can see me standing in front of it. I'm about this high. So the tree is wider, twice as wide as I'm tall. So it's really sad to people cut them down. They don't cut down the baobab trees because usually they're rotten inside. And beside the road you can buy everything which they can find in the rainforest or something. Snakes and other animals. From the old colonial times there are still some water pumps where you can get fresh water without having to use chlor tablets or something. It's very helpful. And I was amazed to see, you see, it says Preussag AG, made in Germany. So this pump is 50 years old, but still working. And you see people with a hunger belly. Many of them. Also, in some parts you see people walking as cool as we are. And of course they want to be on photo and stuff. But you have to remember, they don't have electricity, they don't have running water, but they have really cool and clean clothes. Gabon was a beautiful country. It was easy to get in. The guy who did the stamp in my passport was actually just busy brushing the teeth for the evening, and I came and he was like totally shocked, so he didn't even clean his mouth. It was full with white toothpaste, and he was just, oh, welcome to Gabon, and gave me the stamp, and I was allowed in. And here I didn't see people cutting down the rainforest. It was beautiful green and lots of trees, and sometimes when I saw people waving to me when I went past, I just turned around and decided to stay for a week or something. Here you see my tent, it's their kitchen. You see the bananas growing just behind my tent. And it was amazing to see how these people live. The little girl was a little bit afraid of me because I was so white. But with her mother, everything was fine. The grandmother preparing fish. That's manjok. It's very common there. You can cook it. You can cut it like potatoes, and you can make like French fries, or they make like a concentrate, and then they wrap it into palm leaves to sell beside the road. Like a concentrate, and you can add some sugar or bananas or something, and you have a sweet porridge. It's really delicious. So they sell these things beside the road. They use leaves of the palm trees to rub things in, and then they use as a string. Somehow they have these rice bags, these 20 kilos rice bags, and they take them apart, and it makes a long string. You can use it. Nothing is wasted.
And how do you eat it? You cook it?
They sell it like this. You take a little bit of concentrate, you put it with water, you add some sugar or a banana, you squash it in something, and if you want it to be sweet. But if you can cut the manjok like in little pieces and fry it in the pan and add some salt and stuff, it tastes like pomfret, like French fries. So it's a very interesting plant, the manjok. It was hard to say goodbye, but finally also my visa for Gabon was expiring and I had to go. I went to Cameroon, and Cameroon turned out to be a quite civilized country. They had huge plantages with fruits, and yeah, of course I like to take photos with the banana trees. And the rain season started, and So I asked people whether I would be allowed to pitch my tent inside of their house. Yes, and I still wanted to use my tent because of malaria. So I used it as a mosquito thing, and then people invited me. It was cool, it was no problem. I mean, if you would ask somebody in Germany, yes, but if you ask somebody in Germany whether you can go in his house and pitch your tent, they call the police. But here, they invited. And this guy was really cool. He even had a cell phone, and we're still in contact on Facebook. So they have Facebook in Africa. That's when I stopped on a school where I wanted to refill my water bottles. There was no break or something. I just came and somebody has told me before you can get fresh water at this place. So I stopped, and when people saw there's a white guy, they all came running out of the school, and there was no teacher could do school anymore. Here you can see this kid is carrying his chair. Usually only the rich kids have chairs, and they have to carry them everywhere, otherwise they get stolen. As I said, it was rain season, and that's how the roads look like. It was, if you do 45 kilometers a day, you're good.
I want to go there.
Hey, you're welcome to. It's still there.
Oh.
Then I entered Nigeria, and I was really looking forward to Nigeria. I knew they have tarmac roads. I knew they finally don't speak French but English, and I was really happy to go to Nigeria. Then I entered Nigeria, did all the paperwork, just went a few kilometers inside, just after the border. Suddenly, well, they had tarmac roads, but they had huge potholes. And you see one of these potholes, you slow down, you go 20 centimeters into that hole, you ride in the hole, and on the other side you have to go 20 centimeters out. And when I was going quite slow, suddenly 5 guys jumped towards me and tried to hold me and pull me off the bike. So I somehow managed to like hit the gas and get away, and my bike went up, and I thought they managed, and one guy was holding on to the things I had to carry spare tires, which I didn't have anymore because I knew meters can do all the way. So on the way back I didn't carry. And finally they broke off, so I was free, I could go. And I was still very scared. And then finally I saw this star and decided to follow. It took me to Mercedes. They really had Mercedes just a few kilometers further, where I had the people jumping me. And of course I was still afraid, and I went to the big gate, like fence and guys with weapons, and I said, I'm an engineer from Germany, I have to speak to the boss immediately. Told him, well, I'm traveling Africa alone, and I just got robbed and or jumped, and please, can I just spend the night behind your bars and stuff? And of course he invited me. He took me to his big fancy house with air conditioning and all that, and in the workshop of Mercedes they changed the oil of my bike and did some welding of the boxes, which were really bent after this guy didn't let go. Yeah, it also turned out to be a week or something, and from there on I really tried to hide very well when I do wild camping in Nigeria. Nigerian people, they drive like crazy. In Nigeria the petrol is very cheap, and therefore it seems like everybody has a car. And in Nigeria they have all the Mitsubishi L300 buses we ever had in Europe. You see them with D sign or with CH from Swiss, or you see all of them, but they drive like crazy, and they have these big potholes, and then the trucks just try to go around it but without using the brake, and then you end up like this. And then all the traffic goes on the other line, but without caring about you. And there was a time I was going on my line, not too fast. There was this car coming towards me, and I just used my lights to ask him, please, could you go back on your line? And he just flashed back, and I went into the bushes, saved my life, and he crashed with the car behind me. Full blast, they don't use brakes. I didn't like Nigeria, but finally I went to Togo and Benin, which are very small countries. You can get the visa at the border, and you can go to little nice restaurants again and stuff. It was more like Africa again. So Nigeria wasn't really Africa, or not what I call it. And also they had wonderful beaches. So perfect. It was easy to do wild camping. Nobody cared about me. Nobody bothered me. And then I went to Burkina Faso, which also turned out to be a beautiful country. You can stop, people show you around their village, they're proud to show it. They didn't ask for money, they just introduced you to your neighbor or something. This is the road I took. Beautiful. And yes, then they're so proud. They invite you. No, don't go. You have to come to my neighbor. You have to say hello to my mom or some friends or something. And on this, and during this time, I also met another couple traveling Africa, and they just told me that they were able to go from Mauritania directly to Mali. And after doing the Congo border, I was very scared of doing the border between Senegal and Mauritania, because I heard this would be the worst border in Africa. But the border between Congos, those Congos, including the ferry and everything, was so hard. I didn't want to do a border which was harder. So they showed me. They came this way, so I didn't have to go the red way. I decided to do it the way they came from. Yes, and then I got invited to a little local village in Burkina Faso, and I came with a big bike, with the big boxes. But the entrance of the village was very small, so he took down a little bit of it. Especially
To let you pass.
he insisted. I said, no, I can speak. No.
Oh, crush the house anyway. Come in.
And then they showed me how they prepare their food and how everything works, and it was so nice. People were so friendly, unbelievable. And of course, everybody wanted to be on the photo, and yeah, in Africa, the women are always pregnant, sort of. And yeah, of course, I mean, yeah. But, and then if there's a new baby, the brother or sister is carrying the other baby, because, so you see young children having a baby on the back, because
There are so many of them.
yes, but it's cool. It's you think, hey, but she's so young, and then he explained. And of course, they did a lot of photos and wanted to play around with the camera. I got my own little round head. I pitched my tent inside to be protected from the malaria. But it was really cool. Yeah, I enjoyed being in Burkina Faso. That's a restaurant again. She's preparing those little like pancakes and something delicious. And here some people prepare baskets to sell beside the road. They use palm leaves and make their baskets. She proudly presents a peanut plant. You see those little peanuts on the bottom? And with them you can crash them. You get peanut oil. And if you add a little bit of sugar and put it in the sun, you get delicious biscuits. Really nice. Later on I went to Mali. Mali was the visum I got on the border, but I had to go to the capital city to get a special stamp. Otherwise I wouldn't be allowed to leave. So I spent a week waiting here until this stamp was done, and it was almost like Burkina Faso. Friendly people.
This is capital or?
No. It was like 50 kilometers leaving my passport, going back, spending the time here, and then going 50 kilometers to pick it up again. No, that's not the capital. And here also finally the oldest guy of the city and the medicine man allowed me to take a photo of them. Usually they don't want to be on photos, but after they saw me taking some nice photos of their women in the city, I was allowed to take this photo. You always have to remember, these people, they don't have electricity and no running water, but they're able to make these beautiful clothes. It's amazing. Yeah, that's another a real campsite with Wi-Fi and everything. You can tell your mom you're still alive and spend some time here, but it's like a cultural shock if you come to these kind of places. And I hardly found any camping places on the West Coast, so it was always local people or wild camping. If you feel like no people around you, you do wild camping, but then you're not so safe. And if you, with local people, you always have to entertain them, and you can't do any diary writing, taking out your laptop or something, never. Yeah, as the people from Italy told me, I went directly from Mali to Mauritania. It was really cool. The world totally changed. It was no green anymore, it was desert. People walking around with their camels, and it's amazing how countries are different. And also the Arabic culture. And here they had perfect roads if you compare what I had before. Something's beeping. What's that? Oh. Yes, and then they had perfect roads, and I was going straight. There is a 6-meter wide road. There's no junction or something, you just go straight. And I didn't look at my bureaus. And suddenly I found myself flying through the air and hitting the ground with my helmet. And all of a sudden a car was, he just drove on the back of me. He was probably fall asleep while driving or something. He hit me, and then suddenly 9 or something people jumped out of the car and shouted at me. I would have destroyed their car. What? Yeah, and then they called the police and stuff, and the police came, and I didn't have, they took my passport, and they took my self-made Photoshop insurance, and I had to go to the police station. I thought, oh shit, now I'm in real trouble, and tried to SMS my position to my parents, but the cell phone didn't work in Mauritania because some frequencies were different or whatever. It was big shit, but it turned out to be, yeah, let's get rid of this. That was the insurance. At the police station they got the English teacher to translate for me, and then they had this little, very strong, the tea you drink, and you sit there and you talk and talk and talk, and after a few hours we decided I'm not going to pay for his damage, and but he is going to organize someone to repair my boxes, and we went to the best workshop in this city, where
Reliable one.
yes, where the mechanica repaired my box while the master is watching closely.
He's checking.
Yes, so he's not doing any mistakes. Yes, and one day later my bike was alright again. In Mauritania they hardly sell petrol, because on this accident the spare petrol thing was broken, all the petrol was gone, and they only sell diesel. They have all of the Mercedes 190 cars in Mauritania you ever sold in Germany or something. And so it was hard to get petrol on the black market, and someone had to bring it in the bus from a different city and stuff. But the police guy organized this for me. Yeah, to enter Morocco wasn't a problem, and then it was like 2,000 kilometers. My GPS said 2,000 kilometers straight. So,
And it was?
yes, it was. And the only little stop was when there was a rally going past me, but it was, people just stopped to repair something and then they just continued. It was a little bit boring. It was really hot and I wanted to go to a swim, but you see my little bike standing here. I could have gone for a swim, but I would never be able to go back up, so no swim. The traditional food in Morocco, tagine, was very delicious, made out of potatoes, tomatoes, datteln, dates, but you have to remove this cheetish thing before, otherwise you think you're going to die. You only do this mistake once.
Oh, beautiful.
Totra, that is Schlucht, the typical place where all the tourists go, but sometimes you don't want to be with the tourists and you find places where there are no tourists. Of course, I went to Merzouga, the typical place to go for a walk on the dunes, take some photos, and enjoy the last few days in Africa. Before finally, I went to Spain, France, back home, where I arrived alive. Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Lots of them.
Lots of them.
Yeah. Did you do that all with the women? Or was it
No,
all alone?
no. The woman, she was just going for 200 kilometers or something within Malawi. She had to stay in Malawi, then go back to her project, and yeah, it was just for 1 week or something.
How do you manage cash?
Cash, well, the whole trip was 5,000 euro, including everything. I had something like $1,000 on my leg, but of course, like when the guy pointed with the gun to me, I didn't want to show him where all the money is.
Of course not.
So yes.
So but usually you have to take your money with you, all the money you need for the trip?
Not
or
all, but no, not all, but like in Sudan, some Western Visa cards don't work, or in Angola, or because there was sometimes no electricity.
But if you go to a bank, cash the money,
you can. So
Dollars
I had a credit card. I took cash in Kenya, in Tanzania.
Local money or?
Yeah. No. You can, with a credit card, you get local money to a very good course.
Okay.
If you have dollars, you have to change and you lose a lot of money. So it's the best in South Africa, in the developed countries. You just go with a credit card to take out the money. But you don't need much. I mean, 5,000 euro for a trip like this, 50,000 kilometers, 2 years. If I would have spent here renting a room, it would have been much more expensive.
So the total time was 2 years.
Yes. Yeah, I just enjoy myself.
And all of Africa you can pay by dollars. You have
Well, dollars are the most accepted money in the world. But some people, of course, they don't know what to do with it. So they give you a very bad rate. And there was one thing, for example, when I wanted to enter Morocco, there were lots of people running towards you and trying to and ask you, do you want to change money? And for example, then I still had some like 200 rand, the South African money. I said, yes, I want to change this. How much is the course? And he took out his calculator and offered me 1 to 9 or something. And it would have been a very bad rate for euros, because euros are 1 to 11. But I realized he thinks this 200 rand is 200 euro. So I thought, I pretended to. I was very happy and said, okay, let's do it. So for 20 euro or something, I got 80. but usually it's the opposite. Usually you if they offer you 1 to 9 instead of 1 to 11, you lose a lot of money. But also, especially in borders, there are no cash machines. You can always get money in the big capital cities, but not at the borders. So sometimes you have to do it. But you're not always so lucky.
But therefore you go into the big cities to cash the local money from the bank machine?
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes.
Yes. But then I always go there in the morning. I see on the GPS that city is in 50 kilometers. I look. I only go to big cities when the time is still there to leave it. I never stay in big cities. It's too dangerous. So either you stay 50 kilometers before or 50 kilometers after. You go there, you do what you want, you go to the embassies, get the visa ready and stuff, but then you go. At least when you do it this way, you can go to hotels probably, but it's also hard to find them. You need to have the GPS before to know where hotel is in a city like Kinshasa or Brazzaville or something. Or you ask people and if they invite you to their family and stuff, then it's cool. And it's sometimes they're happy with the t-shirt, sometimes you ask for some money, or you know they earn about, I don't know, €1 a day, so if you offer them €10, it's cool. And you stay for a week.
Okay, guys. Cool. A lot more questions can be answered at the
Yes,
fire
I'm here
over
the next
there.
days, of course.
We lit up the fire already. Yeah, it's burning. Just some information about the weekend. We will do some workshops during the days. In the evenings, of course, we will see some